Alrighty, so let's talk about life. Life, the universe, and everything. Actually, we're just going to talk about life. Now, what are the stages of human life? What stages do humans go through? How do we grow? Think about that for a minute. So, some of you might have thought babies, right? Babies are like the first stage in life, and then we grow to be children, and then adults, and then super old adults, and then we eventually die. But this also includes, though, future generations. This includes your children and your children's children. We are all part of this cycle of life, this circle of life. And that's sort of what a cycle is. It's the stages that an organism goes through during its lifetime. So plants, animals, bacteria, all living things go through a life cycle. But what is a living thing? How do we classify a living thing over a non-living thing? Well, go ahead and pause the video here. Write down some things that you think classify as living. So what do living things have? How are they different? How do you think they're different? Go ahead. Awesome. So I earlier wrote down some things that I think classify as living. A living thing needs food, right? A living thing can reproduce, so it can have babies in very simple terms. And a living thing can grow naturally. Like us humans, we're living, we have grown naturally. This tree behind me has grown naturally. Non-living things, they don't do that. So, by definition, living things are or have ever been living, alive. Non-living things have never been alive. So, let's look at this tree. This tree needs food. It grows all on its own. It can reproduce. It reproduces through seeds. That car, for example, it doesn't grow on its own. It doesn't need nutrients. It can't reproduce. If it can do any of those things, then it's probably a Decepticon. And we are all in danger. Now, you guys are going to pause the video again, but I want you to go outside, maybe in your front yard or your backyard, and I want you to find 3 things that are living and 3 things that are not living. Once you find that, go ahead and take pictures of them and share with us on social media using @MOSHJax. Remember, living things have been or are alive. All right, I'll see you in a second. Welcome back. Now that you have identified living and non-living things, let's talk more about these life cycles. How long are life cycles? Well, that depends. Life cycles vary from organism to organism. A fly's life cycle might be 7 to 10 days, while the life cycle of humpback whale is upwards of 100 years. Treaty oak, that large tree near MOSH, is 250 years old. Plants and animals, they have different life cycles. Animals go through 4 stages in their life. We have life, growth, reproduction, and then death. Plants, they go through 5 stages: seeds, germination, pollination, reproduction, and seed formation. We're going to learn more about both of these cycles in later videos. So now we're going to head back inside and we are going to do an experiment. Now, well, you know, this experiment's going to have to do with mold. Mold isn't a plant. Mold isn't an animal. It's what we consider a fungus or a real fun guy. So what is mold? Well, mold forms when you leave bread out that got like a little moist. It's that weird discoloration or that greenish bluish stuff that grows on fruit, or the furry white things that grow on food whenever it's been like sitting out for too long, or maybe stuck in the back of your fridge. And we're gonna experiment with mold because mold allows us to see its life cycle in a short amount of time. Instead of watching a tree go through its life cycle, which might take 100 years, mold can go through its life cycle in a number of days. So, check it out. So, for this experiment, you are going to need 3 clean jars, all about the same size with lids. These mason jars work really well for what we want to do. You need food. So I have some bread, some blackberries, some lettuce, even some processed cheese. And you need some water. Once you have your food cut up into the even pieces, you're going to take each piece and dip it in the water. So this bread, for example, kind of wet, and place it in the jar. Now you want the same amount of food in each of these jars. We want the jars as identical as possible. The reason we are wetting our food is because mold needs moisture in order to grow. It thrives in moist conditions. So by adding the water, we are giving the mold something to help kind of kickstart it into gear. Now, unprocessed food works best for these experiments, but I wanted to throw some cheese in there. We know cheese is actually processed because cheese sometimes can create a really nice fungus, a really nice mold on there. All right, so we are almost done. Now we are going to just throw in our cheese. All right. Now, our jars have the same amount of food, the same types of food in there. We are going to seal them up nice and tight. All right, perfect. So we now have 3 jars, all with our foods. And now we are going to put them in 3 different places. One is going to go in the back of your freezer. Another is going to go in your refrigerator. And the last one is going to be stored somewhere room temperature. But up and out of the way, so nothing and no one messes with it. We're going to keep these put away for the next 10 days or so and observe the results over that span of time. Now, it's very important that you guys do not open these jars because eventually there will be mold in here and we don't want to expose ourselves to the mold. So make sure that you have parent supervision and parental and guardian help with this when you do this experiment. Awesome. So you guys should have your mold experiment ready to go, and we can't wait to see your results. So be sure to take pictures of those and share it with us using @MOSH on social media. So in this video, we have talked about life, the difference between living things and non-living things. We've introduced life cycles, and we started a really cool experiment about mold. In our next video, we are going to look at the life cycle of frogs. So be sure you stick around. And if you like what you've seen here, please feel free to drop us a donation. Every little bit helps. See you in the next video.
MOSH Connect relies on support from our community. If you like what you just saw, please consider donating at www.themosh.org and give us a like on social media @MOSHJax so you can stay connected.